Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to We Are Listening's vlog. It's been a minute, and we're going to have a very special vlog today. My name is Vinay. I am the founder and president of We Are Listening.
My name is Antoinette, and I'm the co-founder of We Are Listening.
And hi, I'm Cassandra. I'm a director and mentor for We Are Listening. And as you may notice, there's a fourth square in our little Brady Bunch packet here, and that is my friend, Christine Howell, who is a New York State licensed mental counselor. And she has been a counselor for the past 14 years. Now, Christine, you want to tell us a little about yourself?
Yes, of course. Hi, everyone. So I've had just a ranging background from law enforcement to not-for-profit alongside education. And it's been a wonderful experience. But the experience has created a wealth of knowledge and information along the way. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you today.
Awesome. So, listen, guys. So, it is our Mental Health Awareness Month for
Yeah.
May, every May. And we're going to be talking about a very interesting yet much needed discussed topic, which is body dysmorphia. And Christine is going to share her knowledge and experience about body dysmorphia. So, Cass, you want to open up with our first question for Christine?
Yes, it is. So, can you tell us, number one, what is body dysmorphia? And then what are some of the signs that somebody in your family or maybe you might have body dysmorphia?
Right. Great question. Every single time when I'm connecting with someone, I first want to make sure we're all on the same page as to what that is defined, right? Because it may be different for different people. But from the world that I speak through and the lens of a mental health counselor and DSM-5, if we want to get technical, body dysmorphia, or you'll oftentimes hear people say body dysmorphic disorder, who are of the clinical world. And so you'll oftentimes hear the acronym BDD, right? So that's what they're referring to, okay? Whenever you hear that, it is about someone who is deeply unhappy with their appearance, right? Typically, there is some specific flaw that sticks out to them. It may be a few, but at least one specific flaw that sticks out to them. Now, you might say to yourself, well, Christine, I experience these things all the time, like I ate a little bit too bit after the holidays and I need to work on some things. This isn't the same thing, right? There's a deeper obsessive component about it, right? When folks are experiencing BDD, right? And so they're becoming focused on this, and it becomes a focal point in their day to day, and can really take over and be a disruption in how they function, right? So think of folks who are constantly checking in mirrors, or even some avoiding them altogether so that they don't have to view a flaw. Excessive grooming, right? Or comparing yourself to others is a really major one. Asking for repeated assurance about your appearance from others, constantly looking for validation is a big one. Feeling distressed, right? Or anxious in social situations, right? Because now not only do you know about the flaw, but you feel like others are going to notice this flaw as well. That's a big one. And finally, spending a lot of time, money, or effort trying to hide or fix the flaw. And so, and it's not that we don't see that even in the public eye, right? Celebrities go through that as well. The only difference is because of some of their higher bank accounts, they have more resources to pull from, right? And so they see a flaw, they fix it right away. But we've also seen those things go bad, right? But they too can suffer from this. And the difference is they are more so in the public eye compared to the average person. But that's changing with the world of social media. So I'm sure we'll talk about that in a little bit, but
Yes.
that is core principles of BD.
Thank you, Christine. Well, I'm glad
So
you
this, oh,
clarified.
sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm glad you clarified that it's a much deeper thing. Because let me tell you, some mornings I wake up and I be like, this ain't working today. I don't feel like seeing these freckles today. I don't think y'all see them. Good. I don't feel like seeing these
Renee has cute
freckles
freckles.
today. Thank you.
Gorgeous.
So yeah, I'm
Well,
glad you clarified that because I feel like I would think on a normal basis that most people in general probably feel a certain way about something sometimes, even if it comes and
Hmm.
goes, it might be something, that just popped up and they have an issue with it for a while and it goes away. So thanks for that clarification.
I
Right.
thought it
Thank
was. I'm sorry, but I thought it was interesting that you said also those that avoid the mirror because to me, on the outside looking in, I would have thought someone that is completely obsessed, but I didn't even think about the fact of those that are so displeased with their appearance would just avoid it completely, or even folks where you're like trying to take a picture and they're like, no, 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 I don't want to take. Let me take the picture for
Hmm.
you. They're always avoiding wanting to be in the picture. I never even thought about that until you said that.
Right. And that's so interesting that you said that because take it a step further. How that shows up in the Black community is different than counterparts, right?
Mm.
So in the Black community, you might see that show up. Someone's obsession might be tied more so to hair, right? Or texture of hair, right? Skin tone,
Mm.
or body
Yeah.
shape. So the cultural and societal pressures also play a piece, but I will also want to make sure that we're mindful that many a times mental health conditions show up differently in our Black community and communities of color.
Hmm.
I was
That's
going to
something.
ask you.
So you were saying, oh.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Renee.
We want to throw questions at you,
Yeah,
Christine.
we're like, hold on a second, hold on
All
a second.
right.
So
Uh,
you were saying, Christine, the flaw. Is it an actual flaw or is it just a perceived flaw? And if you were to ask someone else, they would go, girl, I don't even see it. What are you talking about?
Right. I mean, it can be both, but I mean, true beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? And
Right.
truly.
Hmm.
And so it might be something that they see as a flaw, right? Let's stick within the Black community, right?
You
I
want to
saw
make sure
that
that
you
T-shirt, her
saw that,
T-shirt
right?
on the
says that.
I
shirt,
had to show you that
Yeah.
because you said that. Yeah.
right? Did we not? It must be true. She's wearing the shirt, right? So, but in reality, let's think about this. It might be something as simple as the texture of our hair, right? And we're thinking this is too coarse, or maybe too thin, or not dense enough, things of that nature. Meanwhile, our counterparts are looking at us like, oh, I wish I had a head of hair like that,
Hmm.
right? So it can be both. And there are some where are legitimately like, I have an issue with my nose. I want this to change. And, I want to take the measures to actually go about doing so.
Yeah, but that's interesting to know about in our Black culture how that would show up differently. I remember growing up, my sister didn't have the curves that are traditionally associated with Black women, and I remember when she would go to high school, she used to layer her clothes because she didn't feel like she was thick enough. Now she thinks she's too thick, but that's a whole nother story. But it does show up
That's a
differently,
different
you
vlog.
know.
Right.
But it does show up differently culturally. Yeah.
So, Christine, I have a question for you.
Of
So, we
course.
like to think, we mentor young ladies 13 to 22. So, a lot of times our focus is for girls and, uplifting and talking about self esteem and, confidence building and how much that will determine who you are and how you grow in life is your self esteem, all that good stuff. Who does body dysmorphia affect the most? Is it more of a female, male? Is it both? Is it equal? Like, from your experience, what's the case with that?
That's a really great question. When I think about when I think about BDD, again, body dysmorphic disorder, who is it affected the most? Let's be clear, it affects people across all backgrounds. Let's start there, right?
Mhm.
No one is exempt.
Right.
right?
Right.
If you got a pulse,
Yeah.
if you find yourself fixated on a flaw, you can be affected. So I want to be clear, right? So now taking it a step further, it's, and we're still thinking about, I'm thinking about this wonderful group that you all mentor and how wonderful that is. Thank you for that.
Right.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Um, but it's in those communities that we are actually underdiagnosed.
Mm.
So it does not mean that it does not exist or that we have lesser numbers. It is that oftentimes our people are going underdiagnosed.
Mm,
And so they're not seeking the appropriate help in communities of color.
got it.
So I want to make sure, because we can go to statistics and research, but we all know on this call that statistically we are not captured
Right.
correctly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fact.
So I want to make sure that we also are adjusting our lens
Hmm.
to consider that as well, right? But typically it starts in adolescence, right? So the fact that you're talking about that for both men and women, for those dealing with BDD, it starts in our adolescent years. So when you think about from 13 to 22, these years are crucial
Yes.
Hmm.
on multiple levels. Your body is changing,
Hmm.
hormones are coursing,
Yes.
there's relationships. You got to go to college. You got to be somebody when you grow up,
Yeah.
right? And you got to look cute.
Right. Right.
It's stressful. Okay, that's stressful for an adult to deal with. And
Right.
we're
That
talking
part.
about 13 to 22-year-olds, right?
Yeah.
So it can oftentimes start typically in those adolescent years. So having positive influences and this mentorship, which is why it touched my heart, is so key to get in front of some of those precursors that might come up, right?
Do you think that
And
the
how would you do
trend,
that? Oh,
I was gonna say, so
sorry.
right now between the ages of 13 and 22, like is that core. But do you think based on the access to social media that children are having at a much younger age, that we could potentially start seeing that shift to even younger?
Uh, there's no doubt in my mind it's already happening. Studies are already coming out about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
As yes, adolescents and both on the male and female side are affected, but obviously more so on the female side. So it's such a key group. Um, let's just do a breakdown of just some research, right? So when we think about they've been doing more recent studies. I'm talking about as early as 2024,
Mm,
right?
Okay. Okay. So
Mm.
new,
Right,
new.
in which they're monitoring and trying to look at the correlation of hours that people are spending on social media. So that could be any type of platform, right? But online in some way, shape, or form. And comparing them against their counterparts who do not have the same amount of time. And so they have found that especially teenagers who have 4 to 7, on average, 4 to 7 hours of daily exposure to social media has a significantly increased scores when they look in terms of testing for precursors of BDD.
mm.
So
Wow.
that's a significant jump compared to their counterparts who are out playing sports, taking a hike, right? Who are literally enjoying life and unplugging
Wow.
from the world, right? Because and why is that happening? People are looking at themselves, they're using more
Mm-hmm.
filters when they're on social media. So not only are you not seeing people's authentic selves, they're
Mm-hmm.
altering themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have those who go online to view that, comparing themselves to people who don't even actually exist, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they
Mm-hmm.
took that filter off, it'd be a very different story,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? So all these parts are moving, and then throw in AI. So now you've got beautiful people I see on the screen. I don't measure up. And these people don't even exist. They literally don't even walk the planet. And yet our young people are comparing themselves to them.
Exactly.
Dangerous. We have
Yep.
to be careful.
Let me tell you, I compare myself to my original, the way I look naturally when I look in the mirror, to the camera picture. The camera, I feel like, and I've been saying this for a long time, the phone camera pictures are pixeled out and they're not really, even when you look at yourself in a selfie with no filter, that is not what your face looks like. Naturally, like with no filters, nothing. It's almost like it pulls out flaws in your face. It shows every bit. It's like very highly pixeled, which I feel like makes people want to use a filter. When I look at myself in the mirror with a bright light, I don't look like the photo in a selfie with no filter. It looks like a different, it doesn't, my face doesn't look like that. So it
And I
almost
feel
forces people to put a filter on because it's like, I don't look like that. It's showing all these pores and like all this stuff in your face that you're not seeing when you look in a regular mirror. Or if you use a regular camera, like an actual camera, like we used to do back in the day.
Hmm.
so. You mentioned one of the words you mentioned was unplugging, which obviously that is one thing that we can suggest that people do. What are some other things that you would recommend or suggest if we're someone that encounters someone that potentially may have that disorder? What are ways that we can assist?
Right. So there are a few options, and this can be tough because if you are seeing that a loved one, a friend, a family member is going through this, our natural inclination is, I want to help, right?
Hmm.
I don't want them to go through this. I want to help. I want to get in the midst of this. But oftentimes the way in which we go about that can determine whether or not they can actually receive and hear us, right? So what am I saying? When we're trying to give each other a comment like, "Oh, you look fine. Don't worry about that," right? And when someone is that deep in their flaw, it does not help them in that moment. In fact, they may have to dismiss your comment altogether. It doesn't penetrate the veneer because they are so locked in at that moment in time, right?
Mhm.
As opposed to, right, I hear you're feeling uncomfortable about your appearance. Like, tell me more about that. That opens the conversation instead of closing it, right? And then you point to in those moments sharing how much you care and speaking to, hey, I don't necessarily have all the answers. Can we get you some therapy? Can we get you in front of someone who does have better information than me? You mean that much to me that I'm willing to take the step back and get you to the people who can really bring you some more education, right? And building awareness on both sides, right? They're doing the work and you're doing your own too. You're doing your own homework in the process of that, right? So it's help and therapy, making sure there's access to that, right? And also social media responsibility, right? So I will create routines with clients, right? In terms of when are we shutting down for our screens? When are we shutting down professional screens? When are we shutting down personal screens? And that screen doesn't just mean your cell phone, it means TV, it means laptop, it means iPad, it means everything that has a screen,
Yeah.
right? That we are disconnecting from that. And our minds literally need at least 60 to 90 minutes just to be able to fully shut down after the last time you've seen a screen. So we can be fine,
Mm-mm.
which is why you can be laying in bed after you just finished looking at, an hour worth of TikToks and you're like, I can't sleep because your mind is still
Mm.
awake, right? Now imagine your mind is still awake. As an adolescent, your body is still developing, and now you just seen a slew uh, of people, of TikToks, of different videos, things of that nature, and you are now thinking about how many things you need to continue to work on and fix within yourself, right? Right. So we have to have more thoughtfulness around that. And for adolescents, right? Adolescents have parents. That's where parental controls come in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for
Right?
sure.
We have to be thoughtful about how much time we are allowing, right? I have one set of parents who literally, like, their Wi-Fi would shut down, right, after a certain amount of time. And it'd be like, you can get it back tomorrow. You got to do things to get it. I need you to clean the bathroom, do some dishes, things of that nature. Go outside, run around, then come back. And you can get your code and be back on. But it was all with the consideration of I want to make sure that you have time to actually be a kid and enjoy yourself.
Hmm.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I know we have to wrap up soon, but we mentioned the signs, we mentioned how to help someone, but as we know, recovery is not a linear process. So what are some of the things that can trigger someone to have a relapse per se?
Excuse me. So there's a couple of things that can happen because there can be some psychological mechanisms at play here, right? You have to be
Mm-hmm.
thoughtful of your friend group, right? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Our associations are everything. And if you have people who are pouring into you or knocking on your door and saying, come on, we got to go run around the block and go get some fresh air, as opposed to someone who's like, come log on to this thing with me. We're going to go play online, right? Then you open yourself up naturally to more areas in which you would be vulnerable. Likewise, you have a great group around you. You are strengthening yourself,
Mhm.
right? Constantly. Affirmations are powerful, right? What are we feeding ourselves, right?
Hmm.
Who are you plugging into? Who is your higher source, right? I think it was probably the height of me being in church was during my adolescent years. So I was so deeply wrapped up in my higher power that I couldn't, I wouldn't allow anyone else to tell me who I was, right? But also, I grew up in an era that this didn't exist. So
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
also easier to say that, right?
Hmm.
We have to be thoughtful that our young people are contending with dangers and harm that did not exist for us,
Exist. Nope.
right? And
Hmm.
sometimes parents forget that, and
Mm-hmm.
we have to be the ones to remind them. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Christine. This was deep and very, very informative and amazing information.
I know I could have kept
Yes,
talking and
thank
talking,
you.
but
Yes.
I know, right? I
I'm
was
like,
like, wait,
ooh, tell
one
me
more
more.
question, one more question.
You have to have me back again then.
Yes, yes.
That
This is
sounds
to be
wonderful.
continued.
Listen, listen, be careful what you ask for.
Yes.
This
We
was a
just know
pleasure.
our young people, they're being so influenced by social media. Social media is
Yeah.
huge, and correct me if I'm wrong, Christine. Social media has the one of the biggest impacts on self-esteem, and that's the thing, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So we
Yeah.
have to find a
Mm,
way to reach our youth to help them in not letting social media be their life and be what determines their self-worth and how they see themselves. It's enough out there that they have to battle with, and that should not be one of them.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you're already doing it. Mentorship is also one of those
mm,
things that
Yes.
uh, pull youth out of that possible trap. And
Yes.
I'm telling you, when they have someone to look up to, seeing reflections of themselves, I cannot tell you how many rooms I've walked into where a young Black girl has looked at me like, you do what? You could do that? Yes, you can,
Yes, you can.
right? So
Hmm.
you are all doing it right now. So thank you. We are listening for
Christine,
continuing the
we
charge.
yes, Christine, we
Thank
do
you.
we do I love your selfie events where we go into homeless shelter that houses young women, and we do I love your selfie board, and they get to put all the things that they love, their children, themselves, what they love about themselves, where they see themselves 5 years from now.
Hmm.
Very impactful workshop that we do.
Yeah.
Ladies. Yeah, that's one of our favorites.
Hmm.
it
Yeah.
is.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Christine, so much. We appreciate your knowledge, your
Yes.
skills, and your abilities, your KSAs.
Yes.
And
Who works in HR? What?
right. Yes, and to all of our young people watching our video, we mentor young ladies 13 to 22. Please feel free to go on our website. Sign up for our mentorship is completely free, and we welcome all
Yeah.
of you so we can, give you some knowledge and help you along in your life.
Yes.
Anything else,
And you
ladies?
can also follow us on Instagram. Christine mentioned positive affirmations. We post positive affirmations all the
The time.
time.
Yeah.
So if you are looking for some positivity, if you're looking for someone to help you grow, please feel free to follow We Are Listening on Instagram.
Yes.
And Facebook. I know that y'all think that's for old folks, but Facebook.
That's why I think I'm getting
You
old
know,
because I'm just getting younger. So,
I mean,
Right.
when they say everything old is new again, so the pendulum is going to swing back and people are going
Oh
to go
yeah.
back to
Next
Facebook.
thing you know,
So,
we'll be on MySpace again.
oh,
Somebody's
I
gonna
miss
watch this and
MySpace.
Google MySpace.
Come, come from MySpace. Please come back. So, yes.
All right.
All right,
Well,
guys.
goodbye.
Bye.
Thank
All
you for joining
right.
us.
Bye.
Hey, bye bye.